My little sister was like, you're getting like 30 views on those TikTok. And I was like, I'm not one of those losers that like dance on TikTok. And she was like, you can get paid if you TikTok. I was like, download the app.
Alright guys, what's the crack? Welcome back to Pub Chats and The Pint, a podcast series sponsored by Harp, where we sit down with a local legend in a Belfast pub. Today we are in the glorious bar that is the Orpheus, right here in the Cathedral Quarter, and we're joined by comedian, actor, social media superstar, Abigail Parkinson. Abigail, fantastic to see you. Thanks so much for being here, and cheers.
Cheers.
I always feel like one of those wrestler commentators. Whenever it's like trying to hype people up, it's like, the superstar, the TikTok legend, the rising star.
I want that on my gravestone. That was a good one.
The gravestone, you jumped straight to there. Unbelievable. So I guess where I'd like to start is like, how on earth are we here? As in like, you've been on this mad journey. I'm looking at you online. You're on yachts, you're in Dubai, you're flying here, you're flying there, you're doing this, you're on TikTok, you're all of a sudden on doing BBC comedy stuff. And I'm like, you know, what's that Journey song where it's like, small town girl, County Fermanagh, and now here you are. Like, how have we got here?
Pass. I have no idea. So Kesh, County Fermanagh. So I always wanted to entertain. That was always the goal. Whether I sort of knew it or not, I always went into acting because I was good at it and I couldn't sing. Definitely couldn't dance. So I was like, right, well, that's the chosen path. So I went down with that and I still do it to this day. I love it. And then in COVID started, well, my little sister was like, I was making like oat recipes online. I was doing like a weight loss page just for like myself. It was anonymous. My little sister was like, why, you're getting like 30 views on those TikTok? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm not one of those losers that like dance on TikTok. And she was like, no, like there's loads of different like people on TikTok. I was like, I don't know. And she's like, you can get paid if you TikTok. I was like, download the app. So I downloaded it in lockdown and kept it anonymous, which is wild now. But it was anonymous for probably 2 months until I did like a weight loss transformation. So it was an old photo of me and a new photo of me. Mm-hmm. And because of TikTok, like I didn't follow anyone and none of my friends knew I had it. But then because of the FYP, it kind of went viral. What I thought then was viral. And a few of my friends saw it and I was like, okay, well, jury's out, here we go.
Because that's the crazy thing about TikTok, is it like, it serves the local audience first, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really localized now as well,
really
So I thought I was getting away with it and it was so funny because I would have never, I still haven't to this day, posted on Instagram, like the vulnerable things I post on TikTok, but it feels like you're posting to the world, not to like your friends.
Yeah.
Which is weird that I'm more comfortable with strangers than...
But you find that like even like, if you're like, I used to live in New York and like on the subway, you'd literally have these mad conversations, like telling people on the subway things you'd never even tell your therapist. Do you know what I mean? 100%. Or like even in Belfast, like on the bus, or like you're out walking somewhere, and like there is that kind of like, I don't know, is it like a safety of like feeling somewhat anonymous with like strangers? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. Mm-hmm. Why do you think TikTok makes us feel that way?
For me, the draw with TikTok was there's no judgment, as in on Instagram you go on and you're looking at people's pages. Mm-hmm. On TikTok you're scrolling through the homepage. Mm-hmm. So I could have posted 17 times that day, but like you wouldn't know unless you went and looked. Of course you can see that, but it's the non-judgment of like people just see your video if it pops up, so you can kind of control the amount you're posting. Whereas for me, I think because I enjoyed posting, I know a lot of my friends are like, would you take a day off, like stop posting? But so I would try to limit myself on Instagram, whereas on TikTok it doesn't matter.
You just fire it all up.
Yeah.
Cool. Mm-hmm. On Instagram, you feel like you need to be a bit more intentional or like curated with what you put up?
I used to. Recently, I just will post when I want to post, if I want to post. Like, I'm still I tend to do my nice, pretty things or Instagram, and then my like real me is TikTok.
Yeah.
And I've tried to sort of bring some comedy over to Instagram and stuff, and I will do that because that is me. But at the end of the day, I'm not. Like, my Instagram is just my Instagram. My TikTok is where my sort of businesses and things like that are. But it's definitely like the romanticized me and the real me. Instagram, TikTok, yeah.
That's awesome. So if you're like chatting to my granny, right?
Yeah.
And my granny's like, what is it that you actually do for a living? What are you answering?
I get this 24/7.
I
My
bet you
mum
do.
has sort of understood, I would say, this week. And it's been like 3 years. But so I do have a full-time job, which people don't know. I work full-time, but it's basically digital marketing, but it's for this place called the Jack Group, and it has different brands. There's a skincare brand and a perfume brand. So I do their TikToks, but I also sort of help organise events and do the sort of marketing and all that sort of thing. Your biggest sort of income with influencing will come from brand deals. So it's brands that want to have, basically, if like this morning I was doing a get ready with me, they want me to use their mascara. So there's payment there, or commission, or whatever the crack is. So that's my like income. But with TikTok, I am very, very strict with making sure it's like 80% fun and me, and 20% that businessy side, because no one wants to see the yellow pages, you know, when they open their phone, which I definitely got sucked into at the start when I was trying to influence when I was doing Instagram. Like, I was out with my friends from Fermanagh who really keep me humble. And
shout out to those guys.
And we were in a pub, and one of them was like, have you ordered a pint or whatever? And I was like, no, not yet. And he was like, oh, ask for Abby 10 at the till, and probably give you a discount. I was affronted.
Brutal.
So right.
That's
but he was so right.
savage.
It was so funny, because like it would have been every other post was like, you know, discount code, discount code, discount code.
Yeah.
To me, that was like class that I was able to do that. I had to do it all to sort of understand how the business works, but it's definitely a learning curve to separate influencing and content people want to see, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and like the business side of it is still, even though we're so far into influencer marketing, and this is obviously your day job, it's your profession, it's like what you do for a living. And it's like, whenever you're the one that has to make the decisions, it's like, how much do I charge for a post? And how much is this and how much is that? And like these people, their budget's this, and these people, their budget's that. Like it's tough calls to make. It's
an absolute minefield. Like there's a joke in my family about how bad I am with maths. Like I will do something on the calculator and get it wrong. Me and numbers we don't work. But at the start, trying to pluck figures, you're plucking them out of thin air, you really are. Now I've definitely understood and got a bit more like what depends on what the deliverables are from the companies, what they want, sort of a thing, and how long it'll take me to do it as well. But view of my other friends at Influence is funny, because it's just so hush hush, and only recently we're all sort of like, what are you charging for blah 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 blah, and then everyone's like, hold on a minute. So, and in Northern Ireland, same with acting, we are really underpaid. Like some of the jobs I've done recently down south and over in England, it's 3 if not 5 times more what you're getting here. So it's definitely hard to figure it out. But you got to know your worth. That was something someone told me that was very, very good.
There's a wee guy that I mentor, right? And he's over at our house recently, and there's 2 brothers, one's 18, one's 16. And he wants to be a director, and he went off on this big thing, and he's like, you know, you have to know what you're worth, and you have to charge what you deserve for, da 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 da. And his brother was like, here mate, what am I getting for appearing in your MA video? And the guy was like, a McDonald's.
But that's the reality too, like.
And we just flipped it. We were like, know your worth. What the heck, mate? What the heck? Talk to me about growing up in Fermanagh.
Oh, I love Fermanagh. So Kesh, so like Kesh Primary School, my mum was the headmaster. So that was, not really, because everyone was like, oh, you'll get off if you do anything bad.
Opposite.
Not the absolute opposite. Like I was such a goody two shoes up until like 5th year in school, because I was like, if I get in trouble, like I'm gonna get in trouble here, and then I'm gonna get in trouble when I get home, and that's just not good. But so grew up there, and then went to school in Enniskillen. It's the closest, like in Fermanagh. We're quite sparse. So it was an all-girls school at the time, but it's now amalgamated with that was the all-boys school. So I was lucky, because I did grow up in the all-girls system, and I did really love that. People always get shocked when I say this, but I was a huge rugby player.
Unreal.
When I was in school, and I absolutely loved it. And we played for the school, and then the exact same team played for the Enniskillen club as well. So it was tag rugby in school. So like I've played at Kingspan like 5 times.
Unbelievable.
My brother's so fuming about. And my little sister, she did the same, and they were like unreal at her age, and they actually, I think it had amalgamated at that point, the school, and they were able to go down and play at the Aviva. So like my brother, he's a really good rugby player, and he was like, how are my two little sisters playing at Kingspan and the Aviva and I'm not? But so it was tag at school, and then it was the exact same time we're at the club. So I loved it, and it was so good for A, exercising, and B, like we were so close as a girl group. Like I'm a real girls girl. Like I will ride or die for my girlfriends. So that was, for me, the last 2 years of school, that made it. Like I really love school with that. And then I just kind of knew with Fermanagh, I always wanted to be a famous actress, and I was like, it's not going to happen in Enniskillen. So I need to go a bit further afield. So I knew I didn't want to go to university unless I got into a drama school, and I didn't get into drama schools. And they say, I read a statistic the other day, which I wish I had have known at the time. It's something like, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's something like 10 times harder to get into a drama school than it is to get into Yale to do medicine.
What?
Because it's so vast amount of people that want to do it, and it's so, I think like they take on like 12 or something. Like it's,
my goodness.
So I didn't think I was going to get in my first year anyway, so I went out to Chicago and studied in Second City, which is ironic because it's a comedy school, and I'd never a desire to do comedy. But it was the one that like the Saturday Night Live cast training, so it's like Tina Fey, Amy Fowler, like The Office. I was like, this is great.
Wow.
Yes, I went there for 3 months just, and like on a dime. Like I had not a penny, and I couldn't work obviously when I was over there. So I was just like surviving off of my like waitressing wage from Fermanagh. So and then the next year I went to acting school in Manchester, and then moved to Belfast when I came home after like 3 weeks. Yeah.
So it's interesting, you've kind of like been building your acting toolkit as you go.
Yeah.
And that really, like social media gives you a really good place to kind of like try stuff out and like create characters and create parts of yourself and do things. It's an interesting kind of like little sandbox or like playground, I suppose.
And it's such a minefield because it's like, okay, yes, Jamie Dornan and Liam Neeson, but bar that, like it's not a regular career path. As in, there's no blueprint of go to uni, get your placement. You know, whenever we were doing placements, I was like, where do you look? Like, what do you even do? Oh, I forgot something. I actually went to the Lyric Drama Studio for 6 months in Belfast.
Oh, cool.
Because that's where I did my placement with Dan Gordon. He's an actor. He's in everything, but Give My Head Peace.
Yeah.
So that was my first sort of entrance into like the theatre-y world.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When you said that your mum was a headmaster, it gave me a very different image in my head of what I thought your mum was like, based on your Luke Combs story.
Oh yeah.
So what the heck was going on with Luke Combs?
So it's so funny because growing up, my mum would non-stop have country music on, and I hated it. I was like, get that off. And it was just constant. But I still argue that it was more like Irish folk she would have played.
Right.
But then slowly I was like, some of these are some bops. Like, this is pretty good.
Christy Moor's a vibe.
Yeah. It was like Carrie Underwood that I was really like, she's pretty good.
Love that.
So then I slowly but surely was getting into country music, and then it was just after lockdown, Country to Country was on, and back home I live in, this will sound a little bit strange, but my family business is like haulage, so there's loads of lorries.
Yeah.
And our houses are all in the lorry yard. So I always say, oh, we live in the yard. Everyone's like, a caravan? What are you talking about? So everyone lives there. So one of the workers, he's like we call him Jerry, he's class. We don't call him Jerry, that's his name. But
I was very close to getting Harp over your face there.
Would it be good TikTok?
Do it for the content. We'll do a redo. Well, I'll make come
on. So Jerry was saying about Country to Country, and I was like, I'd never heard of it.
Yeah.
I was like, what's that? And he was like, oh, it's class. It's like a 3-day event, blah, blah, blah. And he'd gone to the Nashville one, and I was like, that sounds like a dream. And then, like a year later, after lockdown, I'd seen that it was on in Dublin. And I was like, I should be going to this. But none of my friends are country people, like at all. And they were like, like every group chat that I had from I was bored, I was like, anyone want to go? Could you? Everyone was like, no. And then one of my friends was maybe going to go. And then she's like, oh, I don't think I can go, blah, blah. And this was on the Friday morning. I was asking people, if I'm so last minute and I'm so impulsive. I'd seen it and I was like, I have to go to this tonight.
Yeah, this is my calling.
I must be in Dublin.
Yeah.
And so I texted my mum and she just retired. So she was like, yes, darling, let's go.
Aww,
I know, but Luke Combs was a Saturday, so that was on the Friday. And I was like, let's go, because it was like Thomas Rhett, unreal lineup. And I was like, yep, let's go. Brett Young, all them ones. So we went down and we had the best night. And when we were down there, someone was like, you should refresh your Ticketmaster and see if there's tickets released. And I was like, there's not, like I've tried, blah, blah. And there was.
Mom.
I was like, Mom, she's like, here's my card. I was like, so we booked Luke Combs tickets. So we went down on the Friday morning, went to the Friday night, booked Luke Combs tickets for the next night. At the time, my sister lived in Dublin. She only moved home, this was only like last year. Yeah. And then we stayed down and went to Luke Combs. It was just like the best weekend of my life. And Luke Combs was apparently meant to be the headliner. He wasn't ever meant to be the headliner, but because this came out, the tickets for that came out before COVID, but he got so big over COVID.
Yeah.
So it was like so hard to get tickets, and we were so lucky. And these ladies, I don't know, like, they were like, why don't you take our seats instead? So we were like front row, and we were like, because they wanted to sit with these other people.
Ah, perfect.
I was like, am I being punked? I was like, yes. So we were like front row Luke Combs, and this was before he was like now.
Luke Combs.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm so jealous of everyone going in October, but at the same time, I believe that I will have a ticket. I know I'll be there. I will. I don't have a ticket, but I know I'll be there somewhere.
It's good. Like, where do you stand on like that whole like point your mind towards something?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Big time. Like, my favourite book is called The Power of Favour, and I didn't I got it in lockdown because I was trying to change my life, and
oh, you did that too, didn't you?
we all did it. Like,
let's talk about the book after.
I was like, I'm gonna come out of this lockdown a new person. No one's gonna know who I am. And I still haven't got through the book because it's quite dense. As in, it's like this much reading, but it's like my mind's going. Like, you really need to. I will read that much and have my notebook and try and like dissect and figure it out. But from honestly, anytime I read that book and follow something that it sort of says, as in, it's just sort of like self-affirmations, more so, and not in like the cheesy way, not like, I am strong.
Yeah. You are incredible.
Yeah, which I am. No, but it's just like the belief of like, it is possible, like all that sort of thing. But like, I will take that to the next level. So like, say if I'm in Tesco and I'm like, I will find salmon on offer.
Oh, go ahead.
I will.
Come on.
And it's there.
£2, get it in. Yeah.
Like, I take it to the next level. My friends are like, that's just a coincidence. I'm like, it's been 3 years. I'm like, this is not a coincidence. So I take it to the next level with it, but it is, I'm trying to get better at sitting down and doing a bit of a quiet time and trying to get my head settled, because I juggle a lot and I'm...
Sure.
Yeah. So that's it. I always do well when I sort of recenter myself and focus on something like that, but I haven't done that in a while, so I'll maybe do that after this.
It's good. I think there's like a real thing about coming from Northern Ireland where, I don't know if you're ever really given permission, the same way Americans are, to like really set your mind on something, where it's like, do you know what? I am going to be an actor. Yeah. And like, even this day and age, like for you to do that, I'm not crapping on Fermanagh, like, but like, I know what it's like. Like, I know how people talk. They're like, an actor, like, you know, who does she think she is, and like all this sort of stuff. Where it's like, you know, oh, love, would you not consider like at least like going and getting like a marketing degree just as a backup plan? Do you know what I mean? But I think like, so the people who do well in Northern Ireland are the people who they have the courage to just like set their mind to something and they have a go. And it doesn't mean you're going to get it, but like along the way, you at least get somewhere.
I genuinely think I am lucky I came from Fermanagh, because I was so naive to how big of a feat it was that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be on TV. Like, what do you mean? Like, okay, enjoy your teaching degree. I personally will be at the Oscars. Like, you know, win-win, we're all happy. Yeah. And only until I was older, I was kind of like, maybe not. But even like when I was in Chicago at that school, Jane Lynch, who's like a huge actor, was doing a talk, and I remember being there like she's just a human. Oh, man. It's so doable.
100%.
Like, don't get me wrong, I haven't done it. And I also, when I sort of started taken off a little bit on social media. I was like, I need to hide the acting because it's embarrassing, because I have done it, like, I would say, this sounds dramatic, but I would say 12 years.
Sure.
Professionally, maybe like 8. And yes, I've booked like the odd theatre show, the odd TV advert. I auditioned for huge things, but I'm not in anything. I'm not an acclaimed actress by any means. And I'm like, yeah, best believe I will be.
100%.
But I'm like, at the same time, mightn't be in my plan. And it's like, I'm trying to, even though it makes me feel sick, I'm trying to normalise, like, saying that out loud, as in, this mightn't work, and that I'll go down in flames publicly. But like, I'm still going to chase it.
You have to.
And if it doesn't happen, that's absolutely fine.
100%.
But I was ready to hide it, to be like, no, I'd have never done that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm trying my best. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I think because, like you said, in Northern Ireland, if someone in America said that, they'd be like, shoot for the stars, honey. And they'd probably
It was standing ovation. Everyone would like stand up and clap.
Yeah. And I just think it's so normal to not do more.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, why do I not just want a white picket fence life? Like, it would just be easier.
It's like you're kind of cursed with that.
Yeah.
And I understand that. And I think a lot of people who have, let's call it ambition, for lack of a better term, like, it is a two-edged sword. It puts you in places that you wouldn't be otherwise. But it's also like that relentless drive, you know, that it can be difficult to draw the line sometimes. Lots of things I want to say. So I remember hearing a George Clooney thing one time. I think it was him, not personal mates, like. And he was saying that it just clicked with him one day that, like, directors need actors for films.
Yeah.
And his job is just to be one of those people. Do you know what I mean? So like, there's a huge demand for quality talent, and it's just like, okay, how do I just become one of those people? The same way it's like you mentioned teachers. It's like, to become a teacher in Northern Ireland is hard as hell.
Yeah.
Like it is really.
Or like same as.
It's
the same,
really
it's
brutal.
the same fight.
And people do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, people prepare and they
Yeah.
figure out how to be one of those people that a school says yes to. It's really, really crazy. And I think as well, there's something about seeing other people doing it from here.
Yeah.
And now, you know, you said it's a small number. It's an increasing number.
Definitely.
And I remember interviewing someone like literally 3 years ago, and she said, you can't be what you can't see.
Oh, that's good.
I really like that. And I think what I love about where Belfast and Northern Ireland's currently at is that there's lots of people who are starting to like put themselves out there as examples for the people coming behind them.
Yeah.
To be like, oh, look, well, like, Abigail's booked that, and like, he's done that, she's done this. So maybe I can have a go at like this smaller thing to start off with.
Yeah.
I'm like an Instagram quote machine right now.
Yeah, get them on.
Maslow says something like, whatever you can be, you must be. And it says something like, God didn't give birds wings for them to walk along the ground. And so I think because you know that you have it in you, you have to chase it.
100%.
Because if you don't, like, you'll be sitting in an office somewhere and you'll be raging.
Like, for me, I've multiple quotes that I do. Like, people will never think this about me, but sometimes I'm going into something and I'm like, panic attack. I'm like, I cannot do this. And what I give out online is me 80% of the time. But sometimes I'm in situations that, like, and recently I'm being sort of put into situations that I've always wanted to be in, but you're never ready for them. You know, like, it's still terrifying, and I'm in rooms with people that I'm like fangirling over. I'm like, just breathe, like, there's a lot going on. But one of my favourite things that I think normalises everything, and like, say if I was in the room with Liam Neeson or Jamie Dornan, whoever it is, and it's, for me, like, I'm a big Christian, and it's like, you're a child of the Most High God, and I'm like, it doesn't matter who my, like, earthly parents are, who, like, that person paid, they have this much money, like, whatever it is, we're all on the same playing field. And I do know it's what you know and blah, 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 but for me, I'm like, God can put me in the room and then I've got to do the work, but there's no reason I won't be put in the room if it's in His plan for me. So for me to be able to just breathe and be like, look, you're in here, just give it a whirl. And like, it's so scary as well. And I hate when people say like, oh, I don't know how you could do it, or I don't know how you could be bothered. I'm like, I'm not. Like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But I know that you have to.
Yeah.
Like, and being out of your comfort zone is a great thing. I hate it, but nothing comes from safety zone.
What's the maddest room or situation you feel like you've been in where you've had to really just been like, big breaths, like, stay steady here, Abigail?
The comedy show I'm shooting with the BBC at the minute, I walked in and it was Dave Elliott, Aaron Butler, Catherine Bohart, who was on Live at the Apollo, and the people coming after me was Eric Roberts, who I love on the internet. I think he's so funny. Garon, he's hilarious. Danny Walsh, who makes all the drinks. And like all these people have millions of followers. Mm-hmm. Like on my Instagram, I have 13,000, and I know that sounds not like, if people don't have a lot, it sounds like I have loads. But like Eric, I think has like 200k. And I'm like, why am I in the same room as him? It makes no sense. And even like Catherine herself, like she's on TV with like huge names. And I'm like I went into the toilet and had a panic. I was like, right, just breathe. And the only reason I didn't cry was because I was like, I'm not ruining this makeup because I need to record this for my TikTok. I can't have a stain because they'll know how pale I am underneath. So I was just like looking up to the sky, like, don't cry. And another quote I love is, this too shall pass. And I did the wildest thing last November. It was like I cycled across Cuba, and I didn't train one bit. Like, I needed a miracle to survive it. But just this too shall pass, like, for the panic. Like, it'll pass, and it always does. And when you're in those situations, I feel like I always go back to, like, if you can cling on to one thing, like the minute I'm like, okay, this too shall pass, just something that you're familiar with, you can sort of ground yourself a bit. But I really recently am like, oh, there's a few things I've been auditioning for, and I can see the people that go out of the room before me and come in after me. I'm like, is it weird to ask for like an autograph for someone you're going up against in the same role? Like, it's crazy, but at the same time, like, why not me?
Yeah.
You know, like, there's nothing more special or less special about that person than me or you or whoever is coming in after me. And it's also good for normalising for me not getting acting roles. I'm like, oh, they had green eyes, I have blue. Like, it's that simple sometimes with acting. So yeah. There's
an old Bible sales thing that they used to do. I'll butcher the number, but it was something like they would have a competition to see who could knock on 73 doors first, because they statistically knew that roughly every 73 doors would sell something. So the mentality they had was, oh yes, like another rejection, I'm one step closer to the 73rd door, if that makes sense. And I think like getting those reps in of rejection and failure are also really important.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Okay, starting to land the plane then loosely. Oh no, what's the Cuban curse?
Don't know if we're ready for this in the morning. So I cycled across Cuba.
Right.
Best thing I've ever done in my life. The most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, because A, I'm not a cyclist. B, I didn't train half enough, like a quarter enough. C, it was extremely hot. And then D, the Cuban curse that I named because I didn't want to be like rude on the internet to explain to people what was going on at home, was myself, another girl, and one of the other guys got a parasite while we were there. And at this time in Cuba, maybe still, I'm not sure, there was a shortage of toilet roll. And we were cycling 8 hours a day in the heat. There's also a shortage of water, of food. And because we were sick, and they couldn't figure out what it was either, we didn't have medical facilities. There was just a doctor like to check our temperatures and stuff. He was like pulling down our eyes. I was like, sure. This too shall pass every day on that bike. And the hills and the potholes, we do not have potholes. The potholes in Cuba are like, if it was like ice and you stood on it, you would sink. Like, you couldn't go over it, or you'd fall off your bike, or you'd break a leg or whatever. But it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time. But me, this guy, and this girl were just holding on for dear life in our stomachs, in our like mental state, and onto the bikes, because at any given moment we needed to pull over and release the situation that was going on, because it was not good. And it's so funny because I always make skinny jokes, like I self-deprecate about like whatever, and I was like, before I went to Cuba, I was like, you aren't even going to see me when I come back. I always, well, flip me. If I hadn't lost, I don't know what I'd lost, but it was that level of ridiculous, like, and they would only let us eat bread and rice because anything was going to upset our stomachs at that point.
Oh man.
And guava juice. I never want to see guava juice again. It's actually really nice though. But it was just, and I didn't know anyone I was doing it with. Yeah. So none of us knew each other, and me and the other girl were sharing a room. You can imagine the scenes in that bathroom.
That's brutal.
It was savage. So I was raising money for the hospice, and we raised like nearly £6,000. It was incredible. But I was like, how do I share this on the internet?
Yeah.
With like being like I'm so passionate about being honest online, because when I grew up it was just supermodels, and I love that and I really respect that, but it's not me, and there's a lot of people that aren't like that. I was like, I need to be honest here, like things are not going well, and like we were rationed on toilet roll. Yeah, and it was, if I'm sick now I'm fine. Like until I'm in Cuba in 30-degree heat, trying not to break my legs, trying to keep everything together. It was wild. And then the last day, the doctor tried to pull me from it. He's like, you can't, like, you're grey, your face is grey. And before I went to see the doctor, and me and the other girl were like hyping ourselves up to see him, because we were like, he's gonna not let us do this. Like, we knew we were so sick. A crab walked across our suitcases, and we were so ill. Like, I just lay there like skeletal and was like, huh, there's a crab. Like, I was like, I can't even move that. Like, it was just going in and out of my bag. I was like, like we were that level of like zoinked. But because I'd shared it online, I was like, I can't face the public embarrassment of not finishing this. So I was like, this too shall pass. I just need to do it.
Wow.
I know. And even any breaks that day, I was like, I don't want to do it. Like, can we just keep going?
Yeah.
But the Cuban curse was referring to the situation that's going on with my bowels.
I mean, like, nothing, I'm not a squeamish guy. Nothing gets me all than a parasite. Like, that's just like, that just does not belong anywhere.
And one person actually, when I was in the airport, warned me about, she was like, I got a parasite when I was in Cuba, so don't drink the water. And we didn't. We had bottled water the whole time. But like, we brushed our teeth with the water, but they literally, like, it could have been in the shower. Like,
that's crazy.
It was so savage. But also because we were cycling across Cuba, when we landed in Havana, it was like stunning and touristy and everything, and a real theatre show.
Yeah.
But the further we got, the poorer Cuba got, and like there was no facility. Like, I would assume it was maybe day 3 or 4 we got sick, because we were fine at the start anyway, but like the facilities were poor. But it's the best thing I've ever done.
Mad.
Because I nearly died.
And that's the thing, you survive the Cuban curse.
Yeah.
You can handle not getting a role. Do you know what I mean? It's like
anything. I'm like, rejection, no problem.
Yeah.
And with acting, it's funny because they don't tell you don't get it. You just never know. So it's, they ghost you. I'm used to it. I'm so used to it. Like, I was so hung up on like wanting to know the answer when I was like 16. If like, you know, I got anything, like especially your first few big ones, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, the minute you do it, forget you did it. Like, I actually got a recall yesterday and I was like, what was that even for? Like, honestly, and it's a good way to be, because if it's meant to be, it'll come back and you just have to let it go. But I know it's easier said than done, but years of rejection, you get used to it.
It's good. It's part of the game as well, isn't it? Part of the game. If you could go out for a pint with anyone from Northern Ireland, dead or alive, who would you take and where would you take them?
Where? Like, this is nice.
Yeah, the Orifice is gorgeous.
Really nice. It doesn't feel like you're in Belfast. I would say, there's so many, but I would say Liam Neeson, because he has done it and he's done it very well. And we have a similar background, as in I did the lyric literally because he done it. Like, I was Wikipediaing him, and I was like, I was like, I'll just do what he did, you know? And I think he was like, all his Wikipedia says, he was like spotted by like an agent when he was on stage. So I was like, I'll go on stage, someone will find me, it will be easy. And Jamie Dornan too, I really respect how he's done it. So both of them would be fabulous. We could come down for a little harp or a gin, and just talk. I'm such a business person. Like, my friends would get on at me because I'm like last night there was someone's 1-year anniversary of being in Belfast, which is just wild. And they
what a milestone! Mate,
and they were like, "Are you not coming?" I was like, "For what?" I was like, "No, I'm filming a podcast. I'm filming with the BBC. Like, I have 900 things to do. Like, business will always come first for me. So, like, for me, it would always be like, I want to pick their brains business-wise about what they've done. But yeah, that would be nice if we can arrange that.
Yeah, brilliant. So we've talked a little bit about how, like, Northern Ireland, you know, kind of historically, traditionally, for you to succeed in this industry, you'd need to go to like a London and a New York and all that sort of stuff. Do you feel like with things like TikTok and social media that you're able to stay in a place like this?
Very good question, because it's something I'm battling currently. Yes and no. Like, yes, as in I've had opportunities with TikTok I would never in my life have had unless I lived in London or LA. It opens you up that like there's no reason like anyone can see you. In Belfast, the Titanic Studios are huge. My friend works in production on TV, and like some of the stuff that's coming is it's Disney, Netflix. Yeah. It's the big boys. Like the only thing is, we don't know the numbers. I don't work in casting, but a very, very, very few percentage of that is cast here. Mm-hmm. So for an actress or an actor, I think actor is a real term now. You've got to place yourself where you will be cast. Sure. The good thing is, at the minute, audition tapes are a huge thing now from COVID, which means a casting director can get through 18 instead of 8. Great. So technically it doesn't really matter, but at the same time, you gotta be making connections, you gotta be moving, you gotta be, and I'm such a like, the minute I'm bored, I'm not pushed, I have to go, I have to be scared again, or you know, like really. So for me, I do struggle with the London thing. I'm like, should I be there? Should I be here? Should I be in America? So I don't know yet. Sure. But saying that, like I auditioned the other day for a BBC show, and it's a Northern Irish casting agent. So I don't know. Is my answer. Well, we'll know in a year probably. Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah. So if you could go back in time, right? Do the classic. If you could go back in time to an 18-year-old Abigail, you had a couple of minutes of her time, what sort of stuff would you say to her? 18. So I would have been leaving school. First of all, like, parents are going to hate me, but exams are not the be-all and end-all, and your results, they matter, and you should do well, the best you can do. I'm not an academic, I never will be. My performing arts pulled me through school, and my rugby and everything like that. Like, I enjoyed school, but I'm not an academic. And I don't think people should drop out of school and like just TikTok. Like, I don't agree with that by any means, but do your best. But unless you're wanting to be a doctor or to do this or to do that, like, you shouldn't be hard on yourself because you're not getting A stars. Like, for me, I don't even have a uni degree, and I'm in a fantastic job that most people with a uni degree would be fighting for, and I was offered it. So you'll find your path. Oh my gosh, like, I'm 26 now, but it feels like that was years ago. Just that it'd be okay, and that, like, do keep chasing it, because it's mad what can come. As you said, like, I do love the quote, like, if shoot for the moon, you'll land on the stars. I had never planned to be a social media influencer or whatever that I am doing right now. And my end goal has and always will be acting, but like, just keep trucking, and also to just enjoy the daily. Like, I used to not want to go on holidays and stuff in case I missed an audition. Yeah. That's wild. You're hardcore. I am hardcore. And like, if I got an audition, I would fly home. Like, I still would do that. But thankfully now I have my tripod and everything with me when I go on holiday. So I'm like, I could do it here. Nice. Yeah, but just enjoy yourself, and that it definitely everything will pass, and pray, and you'll be okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, look, thank you so much for spending this time with myself and Abigail. Nearly called you Abby. Nearly broke the one rule. That would be okay. Abigail. Big thank you to Willie Jack for letting us be in this beautiful, beautiful pub, the Orpheus. Come and check it out. Big thank you to Harp for sponsoring this series. We really hope you enjoyed it. It's been class to sit down with the 4 guests that we've been sitting down with as part of this, so we really appreciate Harp for making that possible. And who else need to thank you? Thank you, Al, don't they? Probably, yeah. Yeah. Obviously. I need to get all emotional now, you know. It's been a great journey. And Abigail, thank you so much as well. Thank you. And have a great rest of your day. Yes, cheers. Cheers to you.